Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you once again for joining us on The Scoop, featuring the champ Bola Ray. We've got a great episode lined up tonight. We've got a live guest waiting in the background in the green room, waiting to be interviewed. And here we go. I'll leave it in your hands, champ. Who do we got?
Cheers. It's nothing shy of an absolute honor to get to interview this guy. I haven't seen this guy in like going 14 years. 14 years it's been since I've actually laid eyes on this cat. He two-time national champion as the amateur super heavyweight champion, um, former Canadian heavyweight champion. Also, he is the fighter that delivered me my first loss as a pro, and yet we're friends. um, it brings me great joy and to introduce today Mr. David Cadieux. How are you?
Uh, all right. Hey, champ. Hi, champ. It's an honor. Hi, Graham. It's an honor for me too to be here on the show tonight.
No, thank
Very
you,
good.
thank you. It was like we're talking. I was getting carried away in the green room, just reminiscing about yesteryear and whatnot. Um, but you know what? I'll digress. First and foremost, how are you? How is life? How is life post boxing?
Well, I retired after my loss to you in 2008, and I was a little desperate, and I got a little down. You know, when you're on a high as a heavyweight champion, a Canadian heavyweight champion, and then you lose, and you reconstruct your life. So that's what I made. I went back to school, university level. I got my university degree
Uh-oh.
in communications, and now I work for the city where I live in Shawinigan City. Very happy. The kids are going well, and even with the COVID thing, I'm trying to stay healthy and in shape.
Good for
How
you.
how 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 are you? You're
You
good.
know
It's
what?
nice to see you.
I can't complain. Things, the whole world is upside down.
Yeah.
There's like, while you're in recreation, gyms here are completely shut down, and I teach boxing, also compete and stuff, but I teach, so my income is is flatline. I'm
Yeah.
not doing anything right now. But outside of that, same thing. You know, trying to stay healthy, try to stay active. It's the only thing that's going to keep me sane. You know.
Yeah. Only
Yeah.
thing is that it's gonna keep you sane. Yeah, I'm glad to
Exactly.
hear this that you're still on the sports on the boxing scene.
Very much so.
Yeah, very
Very
happy
much
to
so.
see that.
Actually, I was supposed to have a fight the day that the lockdown began, the first lockdown, March 14th last year. I had driven out to Moncton, New Brunswick, 17 hours to Moncton, New Brunswick,
Oh yeah.
got out of my car, unloaded my car, took my dog for a walk around the block at my friend's place. And when came back, he said, "Yeah, the fight's canceled. The Ministry of Health has canceled all gatherings of 100 people or more." They couldn't have told me 24 hours earlier, and I would have stayed home. But okay, it was,
That's part of the game. Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah, sadly, but yeah,
you're right. How did you get into boxing?
I got in boxing. Good question. When I was a kid, I did judo for like 6 or 7 years. That at 16 years old, I began boxing just because of interest
Okay.
and to maybe to because of a lack of self confidence. And I saw boxing at this time, in the beginning of the 90s, uh, as boxing as a way to construct and a way to improve myself. So on and on, I got two losses in my first fights in the amateurs, uh, but then I began to win in Golden Gloves Quebec. I live in Quebec, obviously, Golden Gloves in Quebec, and then you know, suddenly after 2 years or 3 years, I woke up in the nationals, Canadian amateur nationals on the senior level, with Shane Hinton in front of me. He was the defending from Alberta. He was the defending Canadian champ at this time. So I experimented real punches, fast hands, and he was he
Yeah.
was a tough one. And then a couple of defeats, but I in the 2000s year 2001, the Olympic cycle of 2000 to 2004, I was on the Olympic national team, and got a few, like maybe a 20 or 30 international fights.
Did you really? See, okay,
Yeah.
so I remember in 2004, the Olympic year, all I heard about was there's a big, tall, super heavyweight from Quebec,
Well,
just like
yeah,
me. And I was coming out. I had just won Ontario. So
yeah,
I was expecting to
I
see
remember.
you, only to get there, and it was a bunch of crickets. I had Bermain Stavern.
Berman, yeah, he was on the 91 kilos category. Berman.
He
I
moved
beat
up.
up Steve Gallinger from Ontario in 2002 or 2003, preparing for the Olympics, but never did. I didn't classify for the Olympic
For the
Games in
Olympics.
2004.
Yeah, I didn't see you there. Bermain
So I
beat
turned pro. Yeah.
Steve Gallinger, or you?
I had two
You beat him.
fights in the 2002 and three against Steve Gallinger. He beat me he got a decision still in the amateurs in my hometown Trois-Rivières in the Canadian championships, and then year later I beat him up, and I believe it was in Sarnia, Ontario. So
Oh,
it was yeah. So I qualified. So I made my way on the national teams. Uh, Team Canada number two, and then the number one. After 1 year or two of in and out. And then
wow.
there was Patrice Lheureux on the Patrice Lheureux, big heavyweight
Of course.
from here, from La Mauricie, Shawinigan, Quebec,
Yeah.
where I live now. Coincidentally, Patrice was on the national team. That was surprising because he was big guy,
He's a
not
bear.
very fast,
He's a
and on the
bear.
national amateur team.
He's an
That was
absolute
surprising.
bear.
Yeah.
How many fights did you and Patrice have? In
I
the
had
amateurs?
Patrice Lheureux, and I fought like 9 times in the amateurs.
That's incredible.
He won 5 out of 9. I was the guy from Trois-Rivières. He was the guy from Shawinigan, and
Yeah.
it's like 40 kilometers between the cities. So there was a
Yeah. 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 With
between
that.
two big
Yeah.
heavyweights. I'm 6'6". He was 6'4", but 270, 75 pounds.
285. Yeah.
Yeah, he was strong. So yeah, for the people, for the boxing fans, that was for an amateur card, that was a fight. Heavyweight fights, it's
Yeah.
always spectacular. We're
Yeah.
not heavyweights. We're not the finest ones, but not the
No.
finest one, but but
Great willpower.
it's spectacular. Real power, yeah.
Yeah. No. It
And I
was.
learned a lot with Patrice. Patrice was a sparring partner for like 10 years. We knew each other very well. So in the pros, in 206,
Yeah.
I beat him. He was the defending champion on the pros here in
Olympic.
Shawinigan. Yeah,
Yeah.
I prepared. That's ironic. I have to tell you this story for Patrice Lheureux, who was a big right-handed puncher.
Yeah.
I went to prepare in Las Vegas with Chris Bird. Chris Bird, who was a
Really?
southpaw, small heavyweight champion of the world, but he was 208. And I was preparing for Patrice Lheureux, who was 265, maybe 270 pounds. And Chris Bird told me, David, all you have to do, is move. He was boxing champion moving, defensive. That
Yeah.
was
That's
all.
absolutely right.
Yeah. But what's ironic here is Chris Bird was exactly the opposite, the reverse, or of what I was looking for a sparring partner. But I was a sparring partner. He was a champ. So I learned a lot for 1 month in Vegas in May, April and May 2006, and then on the 12th of May I was in the ring with Patrice and won the Canadian Pro Championship,
That was
defending yeah,
that was
defending the next year on 207 against him, and then losing to you on my last fight on the professionals. Yeah,
that fight, May 12th, 2006, was arguably the most incredible display of boxing I've seen.
yeah,
Um,
you
from
were
the
there.
heavyweights in
Yeah,
Canada. It was, we came in because I was Patrice's sparring partner, and
yeah, that's right.
they kept telling me that your footwork wasn't great. What you're gonna do is your fast hands, and you throw a lot of straight punches. I said, well, then I understand why they used me, but I'm not going to stand there. And I didn't stand there and let Patrice just maul me. So I just
Yeah,
moved. I moved a lot, and I punished him from the outside. And I was concerned from him. He was confident, like this. He
oh
knew
yeah,
you. You guys had so many fights against each other. He knew you. He was confident. He was like, "No, I'm ready. I'm ready for this." We go into the fight. Patrice was when when I saw Patrice the last two rounds him and I did, he turned it on like he was angry or something, and he came after me. And I said, "Okay, that guy is going to walk through you." And lo and behold, I've never seen. I call it the Cadieux triple hook. Those hooks that you were landing on him, you just had to feel sorry for him. Um, I just, I, I still couldn't believe what I saw, because that David wasn't the David that I saw when you and I fought the first time when you got the
yeah.
W. That was not the same David. You were so much better this time and so much more prepared. And I said, okay, so that's what it looks like. That's what, when it comes to becoming a Canadian champ, that's what you have to get to, because you were on point. You were amazing that day. It was your day, and you just had to feel sorry for Patrice. But that's the sport.
Well, that's kind of words, champ. Ray. I appreciate much, and I have to, former boxers giving compliments, but I have to pay you tribute. Patrice and you also were Canadian champion. I was in the ring with you on 207 in my
Yeah.
hometown Trois-Rivières, defending the title. You came out of the dressing room like a roaring lion. I don't know. It was, how it was intimidating. I felt what you described of me against Patrice on my win. Then I felt, it's like uh, changing the flame.
Yeah, yeah.
Transferring the flame, because I wasn't at the same level that night, and you won. Yeah. So that's boxing at the championship level.
That
You
was
have to be on the peaking level.
no.
You know.
And again, even that day, I have to thank you for that, because at the end of the day, I'd already experienced a loss to you by that point in time,
Yeah.
and I knew that I had I think 3 months to get ready for that fight, and I've never trained so hard, even still to this day. Oh, actually, that's not true. Recently, but prior to recently, I've never trained in my whole career as hard as I did for that fight to get that Canadian title.
I can.
If I
Yeah.
didn't think that there was a huge man in front of me, I would have taken the fight a hell of a lot easier. Um, Getting ready for that fight, I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I had nobody to spar with that looked like you. I sparred with.
Yeah.
Do you know a fighter by the name of Nevin Pikich?
Nope.
Arthur Binkowski.
Yeah. Art Binkowski. I know. Yeah. I fought him twice. But
Okay, so
those guys are not 6'6".
no, they're
That
not.
is that what you mean? Yeah.
And that's all I had. And that's all I had. So I was actually really concerned as to what my timing was going to look like, longer punches, whether or not you're going to be light on your feet. I don't know. I don't know. And I blew through my sparring. Well, they're sparring partners. I blew through them easy. But then the fight's the real thing. And I was, oh man, I may have looked confident, but I was nervous walking in that ring. I was really
Good
nervous.
souvenirs. Yeah, that's good souvenir. 14 years after this big event, these big events, you know, I'm looking at back with no regrets, and maybe
Yeah,
you feel the same.
yeah,
No regrets. Some things could have been done better on my side, and but no regrets. I'm happy. Yeah, and but that's a tendency. What you said, right? What you said is hard. Uh, the challenge for heavyweight fighters to find some good sparring partners
yeah,
in sparring partners that resembles the opponent they are going to face in a couple of months for who they are preparing. That's a challenge, and yeah, uh,
astronomical. Um, for
absolutely.
me, I had the tallest fighter I ever fought. Actually, I've fought two fighters taller than me in my career, and both those fighters, my sparring partners, were under 6 feet. It's insanity. I won one, I lost one against Ty Fields,
Yeah,
um, but it was like it. The sport needs to develop. Actually,
yeah.
that's what being doing what you do currently. Are you still in the boxing world? Do you still affect boxing?
Currently, not at all. For like 10 years, I've been on the not depression, but on a down about boxing. Maybe maybe I felt when you're doing uh, a way of life. Boxing is a way of life. It's not only
Yeah,
a sport; it's a dedicated sport. So it is a sport of dedication, and you have to believe it and put all you have in it. So maybe I did like maybe I felt like a letter overburn, or you know what I mean. I don't know the
yeah,
word
yeah.
in English, but
You burn yourself
now
out.
talking to you, remember good souvenirs, and like it's COVID. I'm thinking when we're gonna have the rights to go back to normal activities. I'm going back to coaching, or I'm going
Good for
to
you.
I'm going to visit a couple of boxing gyms, and get in my old shorts and old gloves, just for training, and for the kids, or the teenagers, young adults that wants that needs some kind of coaching or skills. I'm gonna
Yeah,
share back what the
exactly. That
sports
I can
give
see a
gave
lot
me.
of kids, a lot of kids looking up to you in Shawinigan and Trois Rivières and all that whole area. I bet a lot of them still remember your fights and whatever the case may be. For me, I see a lot of young fighters coming up and they telling me nothing tickles me more, nothing um, gives me more pride than when you see a fighter come up and tell you, "I saw your fight with X."
Yeah,
Um, you know Andrew Cooner.
yeah,
Andrew Cooner, and I was talking to him once, and our fight came up, the Canadian title fight, and he goes, "Yeah, I remember. I was right there for that fight." And the very fact that they remember us doing our craft, I take that as a badge of honor. Um, we're changing history. Hence,
yeah,
one of the main reasons why I wanted to get you on the show, because you affected history. You did great things. Two-time national champion as an amateur, Canadian heavyweight champion as a professional. These things you should be celebrated, and people should know who you are in the boxing world. Like, yeah, that was 14 years ago. Still, I still think that you deserve that lineage. You deserve that respect. And like I said, again, I can go on for hours about how honored I
hmm
am to have you here. But I think I hope that you continue on with your involvement with the sport. I think you do great. Have you ever coached before?
Not really. I coach I coached 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's another story, interesting story. I went back for training for 1 month because a friend of mine who is of a First Nation here in northern of the region speaks his language, his nation's language, and I didn't want him to get beaten up. He's an heavyweight, so I sparred with him 2 years ago. I'm
2 years
former.
ago.
I'm a former professional fighter. Remember, and he beat me. I was out of shape, with a belly over like I'm like 35 pounds overweight at that time, and he's a beginner, not even one fight in the amateurs.
Oh
He was
wow.
not really beating me up, but I mean I was out of shape and doing 2 or 3 rounds, 2 minute rounds, and I was done. I quit. That was funny. But I showed him the defense and in the heavyweight division, even in the amateurs. I believe it's all about the defense, uh, and the
Genuine.
defensive skills are long. It takes longer, and it takes much more dedication to up
To learn.
up your game on the defensive level. On offensive, everybody can punch on the offensive
Of
level. They
course.
just have to put on the effort. But defensive skills, it's technical, in the heavyweight, it changes the game.
You went to camp with Chris Bird, the most offensive heavyweight of all time.
Yeah,
So yeah, totally. You
Chris
also
Bird was preparing for Vladimir Klitschko in Germany at that time,
okay.
and I asked Papa Bird in the car. He was driving a nice SUV, Mercedes SUV. Papa Bird. He was the driver and the coach, I asked him. We were all the sparring partners. There were, I don't remember the name of the guys, the other guys that were sparring partners, but I asked him, "Hey, Papa Bird, why are you going to fight over Germany? Chris, he is the champion. He is the ringing champion. I believe it was the IBF champion. He was the IBF champion in the heavyweight division." And Papa Bird told me, because of the money, son. We're going there because of the money.
Hey.
He was fighting Vladimir Klitschko in Berlin.
Okay.
So yeah, Chris Bird, he was the champ. He had three sparring partners, me and the other one. He was experienced, a guy with a nice record. I don't remember his name. No big stars, but the guys were tough. A guy from Australia, and Kali Meehan, if
Oh,
I
Cali
remember
Meehan.
correctly. Yeah, so big guys like me, Kali Meehan, we were like clones of Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Chris Bird, he was playing with us, the 4 rounds each.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
doing 12 rounds of boxing with us, with big gloves. But I mean, I know with 16 or 18 ounces gloves,
Yeah.
but he was playing with us. You know,
That
we could
everywhere.
manage a little. We were not that much beaten up, but he was the champion. He was, doing whatever he wanted in the ring.
Yeah. After after I won the Canadian title, I started going around the world in training camps. Anybody who was fighting the Klitschko's, I was in camp with them too.
Yeah,
So it was great. I got to see the world. I got paid for it. It was sensational. Um, I remember sparring with David Hay. I, I was
David.
in
Hey, yeah.
I was with him twice, and yeah, you see the difference. You see the difference in level.
Yeah,
Um, but
they're in control.
they
World
are
champions like that, like David Hay or guys at that level, they are they have control. On the tenth of a second
yeah.
reaction, tenth of a second reaction. Yeah,
What's called Chigayev, Ruslan Chigayev.
yeah,
I
I
was
know.
I was in camp with him several times,
Where
and
in Europe, for
in
sure.
Europe, in
In
Germany.
Europe. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I was there. I was in Germany. Like, at one time, I was there for 6 months, just training camp after training camp after training camp. Um, But yeah,
You
it
did a
was.
lot. You did a lot of these training camps, I believe.
Oh yeah, I did. I was probably in 12 camps. I I've been
Yeah,
to Russia with Povetkin. I've been to David Hay, Chigayev. I was down in New Zealand with David Tua.
David Tua. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, in New Zealand.
in New
Yeah,
Zealand.
he
That
invited
was
you to
that was
his
amazing.
hometown or
That was
his
absolutely amazing.
training camp.
Yeah, he was fighting Alexander Ustinov.
You know, he was David too. I sparred with him in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
He was preparing. I don't know if Henry Akiwande is that. He was
Oh yeah.
preparing for a big African guy, strong guy. So he called me, and you sparred with him. Did you find he was short? David Tua was like 5'10",
Exceptionally
short,
short.
but
Super short.
like Mike Tyson,
5'9".
he was moving in and out like super fast.
Okay, so my story with David Tua, and I
I
love
want to
this
hear it.
story. The first time we went down, it was a 22-hour flight to Auckland. 22 hours. I land at 6 o'clock in the morning, Auckland time. Now, every other camp I'm go to, I get 1 day off. You get 1 day to acclimatize, and then you spar the next day. But I get here, they're like, yeah, we're gonna get you to do a couple rounds with them tonight. I'm like, tonight? He goes, yeah. "Oh, okay. When is the other sparring partner coming? This is now a Tuesday. He's not gonna be there until Saturday. So it's just me. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. Now, because I'm the only sparring partner he has, I'm assuming that it's gonna be a feel out, nice, just tactical sparring.
Yeah,
And it
you
wasn't.
believe that?
It was nowhere
Yeah,
remotely close. I walked into the gym. He pointed to where the change room was. I said, okay. I changed. I just so happened to wrap my hands in the change room. I came out. He's already in the ring. They put 2 gloves on me. I had just enough time to go 1, 2, ding, ding, ding. And we're sparring. Then I'm moving with him. And at the time, he was about 275, 280 pounds, 5'9". And I asked him, this is the shape you want to be? Like, he had 4 weeks till his fight. And I assumed that he was looking at coming in maybe 250. But he came on, and he came on hard. Now, for the most part, I just ran. Good luck finding me. But then I was not in shape yet. So after 4 rounds, I was dead tired. And then
yeah.
they said, how many more rounds you got? He goes, 2 more rounds. So we go 2 more rounds. He threw, in the 5th round, he threw one missile that came by it. And I just missed it. And then I came back with a 5-punch combination. Bam, 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 bam. And he got a little mouse under his eye. I thought this was going to settle him down. It did not settle him down.
It
The
was
6th and
beginning.
final round,
That's what.
he came, he was cautious, and then the 30-second bell went, and he turned into the Tasmanian devil. And he starts swinging like I owed him money. And boom, catches me, and I'm on the deck. I'm like,
He
okay.
could be not vicious, but he could be. I remember it was hard times. He gave you. You earned your money for sure.
Yep,
You earned your money for sure.
definitely. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is my first day. This is first day of training camp. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get you. And it just so happens that, like, the next day, 2 days later, we spar again, and that was nothing. I just ran. But then 2 days after that, Julius Long came. So it's now Julius and I, and he ends up pulling his calf muscle. So the fight got postponed. Now, they said it was going to be postponed for 4 weeks. So they flew me home, but it ended up being postponed for 10 weeks.
Okay.
When I got home, I started training like I was fighting for a world title. And when I came back, I got David. I gave it to David. I unleashed everything I had on him. Made sure, no, I paid back David
Yeah.
tenfold. So I love that story.
Between the between we guy between that makes me think that sparring with guys like that, that are maybe on the top 10 contenders in the world, and us Canadian, former Canadian champs, the margin was not that much. The
No,
story you told, you know it reflects a little, yeah, exactly what I lived. I was and we were, as Canadian heavyweight, maybe lacking a little of sparring, but the margin was thin. It's a question of, like I said, the uh, tenth of a second in reaction, but that's
definitely. Like,
possible to reach. For
no,
the next generation following us, the guys that are Makhmoudov or Oscar Rivas,
yeah,
Canadians, or I don't know the guys in the West or in Ontario, but I know some names, but it's possible for them to go to the top level and make
very much so.
make big money.
No, very much so. Like, that's one thing I did learn in going around. I sparred with um, former cruiserweight champion of the world, Juan Carlos Gomez. He turned heavyweight. He was getting ready to fight. Um, who's he fighting? He was fighting Vitaly Klitschko, and I
Okay,
was in camp with him, and I was just like, I can beat this guy. I can beat Juan Carlos Gomez, and I, I didn't get hurt in camp. That's one thing I tried most definitely not to do. They couldn't, if they ever threw a punch and I got rocked, I just ran. And I said, I'm not going to get hurt. But I could beat these guys. I have
yeah,
every
for
right to
sure.
be right there. So, no, the guys, you're absolutely right. The margin between the elite in Canada and world champions is not that big at all.
It's
It's
not
more,
that big.
it's
Yeah.
it's 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 an opportunity.
Sometimes it's a question of timing and a question of sparring and coaching, but and maybe relations. You can go to a training camp
Exactly.
in the States, recruiter, a scout,
Yep.
looks at you, maybe he's making you an offer, and then boom, you're on the top level,
Exactly.
or maybe not. And of course, if you win all your fights and you're spectacular, you're gonna climb the rankings really fast. But I believe, you had, you were such close. I was, guys like Berman, Steven from Montreal.
He
He
won.
he went to the States, and then
Yeah.
he won. Boom, he
Yeah.
was a world champion for a little time, but he
Yeah.
got the talent and the heart and the skills,
Exactly.
and he was the best place. He was at the good place at the good moment.
I
Also,
I think that I'm so proud of him. He was my second last amateur fight, and I beat
yeah.
him at nationals. Actually, I beat him in Trois Rivières. It was in Trois Rivières. I beat him at the box office,
Okay, yeah.
and then I don't see
You
him, and the
see,
next
yeah,
thing you know, he's a world champion. And I'm like,
world champion,
I'm,
and probably millionaire,
oh
and
yeah, oh
yeah,
yeah,
and known, world recognition.
oh yeah,
And it's a question of talent, skills, dedication. He's got it all. He got it all, and got the heart and the guts to go to the States,
by
and
all
do it.
means.
But you can
And
do it in Canada. But I mean, that boom, he was at the right place at the right moment.
it's also luck. He was there at the right place at the right
Maybe,
time.
yeah.
So no, that was amazing. No, that was amazing. David, I see the time is running, and this is amazing. I could sit here and talk to you for another hour, but we gotta let you go. I want to thank you so much for coming on to my show. This was it's incredible. It's like no time had passed. Just sitting back and talking to you. I Please come back again. I'd love to have you on the show
That,
talking about
that
whatever.
yeah. But we'll stay in touch. We'll stay in touch. We'll stay
We'll
in
do.
touch for sure, for sure. And
We'll
it
do.
was an honor tonight. like I said, thanks very much for inviting me.
Thank you.
You know, and if I'm going by your hometown, I believe you live in Toronto.
Toronto.
You still live in Toronto, so
Still.
I'll say hi for sure when everything goes back to normal.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll go see you, and you know, and we can talk about the good memories and actual boxing scene, international and Canadian boxing scene. That
That'd
would
be
be a
great.
pleasure.
That'd be an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
for the boxing world, David Cadieux, I would like to thank you and have a good night, my friend.
Thanks.
If you like this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget the notification bell. It's your boy Bola, and that's a scoop.